Hello and welcome to another tutorial for the dynamic selection wheels. So in this one I'm going to be trying to go over and show you how to add the dynamic selection wheel to an already existing character or project. So what I have in front of me right here is a first person template that I just opened up, and I added a couple of things really quick to demonstrate some of the attributes of the dynamic selection wheel, like how to add stuff to it in-game and stuff like that. So I really quickly made a gun and gun stats and a quick pickup system so that you can pick up the gun, which isn't really a gun right now. It's more of just a cube on the ground. So if you play, you run up to it. It doesn't do anything, and you press E and it destroys the actor and prints the name of the gun up in the top left of the screen. So I'm going to show you how to integrate that with the dynamic selection wheel so that you have gun stats and everything in the dynamic selection wheel. And I'm going to show you how to make it look like the middle wheel here, the orange one, because that was requested on the forums. So I'm going to have this on my other screen just as a reference, and so let's go ahead and get started. So obviously what we're going to need to do is import the dynamic selection wheel into our project. So I'll go ahead and I'll find the, nope, wrong one, the dynamic selection wheel, and you should get a project that looks like this when you have the dynamic selection wheel, or it'll be like a straight add to your project. So I'm just going to show how to add it from an already existing project like this, in case that's how Epic decides to do it. So what you're going to need to do is right click on the dynamic selection wheel folder and just migrate, because everything in there is something that you'll need, and you'll migrate it to the project that you want, which I will now have to find. DSW1 content, and we'll go ahead and migrate that over. So now when we open up our DSW1 touch, we now have the dynamic selection wheel in here with it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up our example character really quick, just so you can get a look at it. There's two ways to integrate this with an already existing project. You can either copy what's already here, which would be the easiest way, and all you need to do is copy this setup right here, and then this right here, because that is what you need to open and close the wheel, and this just sets up the variables in the wheel. And then you would also need to copy over the stuff from the example HUD. So on event begin play of the HUD, you just need to copy this and put it into your HUD class, whatever that may be. So in the first person example here, we have a HUD already here, and you just need to, on event begin play, go ahead and put that in there, and that'll let your character access everything that you need to from the HUD, just like it does here. So that's one way that you could do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you from scratch how to put the wheel into an already existing character. So we would need to create all these variables and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close the example stuff out. So example this, I'll leave those open for now, and I'll minimize this. And I'm going to go into the dynamic selection wheel, and so we don't get tempted or anything like that, I'm going to delete anything that says examples. So that entire example folder, I'm going to delete that. Force delete. I'm going to go. Why is that not gone? I don't know. I'm going to delete our example character. Force delete. Our example game mode. delete, delete. Our example HUD, delete. Example projectile. And we are left with our selection wheel macro, selection wheel slot. Those we'll need. So now that those are gone, we'll go into the materials. We need all those except for this. We don't need this. I'll go ahead and delete this. Force delete. Textures. Divider, texture, wheel to texture. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and keep these example textures in here just because the generic gun texture is something that I will be using because I don't have another gun texture there. And then widgets, no example widgets. So it looks like I've deleted everything that is example except for this folder. For some reason this one won't delete, but that doesn't matter. And now that I just have the basics of the dynamic selection wheel in there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to my character, nope, blueprints, first person character. And now that that is open, I'll do this. And right here you can see my interact code or my pickup code. Right here is where we're going to be doing some stuff with adding to the selection wheel, but first we need to get the selection wheel in there. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back and open up my first person HUD because we are going to need to initialize the wheel here, or create the wheel here. So I'll go ahead and event begin play. And now that we have that, I'm going to want to create a widget. So create, hit caps lock, create widget. And now we're going to want to choose our, I believe it's the main widget. So we'll do that, and we'll just set this to get player controller. Just that way it has an owner. Yeah, I'm going to set this to promote to variable, and I'll go ahead and name it. I'll name it main just for now. And save, compile. And that should be all that we need for now for variables. And now I'll go ahead and I'll do an add to viewport. Oop. Control Z. Add to viewport. Plug that in. I will save, compile. And now we have initialized that in the HUD. Now we need to go back to the first person character. Now for some reason I don't understand why. I think it may have something to do with the characters created before the HUD, but you can't on event begin play initialize this stuff. So we're just going to go ahead and I'll call on the event tick. Oop, event tick. And I'll go ahead and do a sequence because we're going to need to use the event tick later. So sequence. And then first thing we're going to want to do is pull off and do a do once, because the first time an event tick is called, it will do this once and basically initialize what we want it to. So now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to call on our HUD. So we'll get player controller, I believe. Now we'll get HUD. Pull this back a little bit. Now we're going to cast to first person HUD. That way we have our first person HUD up there. Convert to pure cast. That way there's nothing there, because it's always going to do this. It's always going to be a true cast. And now we're going to get main. And let's go ahead and promote this to a variable. And we'll call this our, I just call it main again in here. And we'll set this to a variable. Now let's pull off main and do a get. And we want to get let's see here, we want to get a selection wheel, and we want to get the widget switcher, which I believe is main, but let's go ahead and check. So we'd have to go into our dynamic selection wheel, widgets, and then main widget, and our main widget is, or our widget switcher is our main widget. So let's go back to the first person character and let's pull off of this, and we'll do a get main widget, and we'll promote this to a variable as well. Oop. And we'll call, oop, I keep pressing that. We'll call this main widget switcher. Okay. And now we're going to promote this to a variable too, because this is our selection wheel. We need that. And we'll call this, we'll just call it selection wheel. Selection wheel. Save and compile. And I'm not gonna add in the blur of the background and stuff like that. You can copy that or figure out how that works later. I might do a tutorial if you guys ask for it. But for now, I'm just going to go over the basics, and I'm not going to cover that. So now that this stuff is all initialized, what we need to do is we need to get our interact, or we need to get a way to pull up and show the wheel. So we're going to need to go into our project settings. This project settings are already open. Where is it? Is it on my other screen? Or is it just not showing? That's weird. It is on. Oh! I'm dumb. It's just right there. So in our input, we're going to go to action mappings, and we'll do a selection wheel. And now in order to open the selection wheel, let's do an F key, and let's do a let's do Y on the Xbox controller. So top face. Okay. Now that's done. Let's go ahead and go back to our main widget, which will pull this up. First person character. And now let's get our selection wheel. And when the selection wheel is pressed, we're going to want to open the wheel. So in order to open the wheel, we will need to grab our main widget switcher, and we're going to need to set active widget. Oop, not active widget. Set active widget index. Let's duplicate. And then when you let go, it'll switch it back to off. So in our main widget, the HUD is 0 and 1 is active. So in our character, we'll need to set this to 1 and the other one to 0. So now that's now anytime you want to, or now it'll open the wheel, sorry. Save, compile, and if I press F, it shows the wheel, but it's not doing anything right now, and I can still look around and move and everything. So what we're going to need to do is set up everything that goes along with the wheel. So I will need to grab the selection wheel, get, and now we'll need to pull up our macro. So we need to get the, what's it called? Selection. Not the action. Selection wheel macro. Here it is. So this is where most of the stuff happens. We need to activate the wheel and deactivate the wheel, and then we need to get that tick that we have up here, plug that in here, get our selection wheel, plug that in. We need our player controller, so get player controller. And now we need to get our controller X and Y axes. So I'll go ahead and get left stick, and we want the X, and we want get left Y-axis. Plug that in right there. Go ahead and save and compile. So now that that's all plugged in, when we open our wheel, everything goes around here. And it works like it should. So now we have our wheel up and running. We need to, let's see here, what do we want to do next? Let's go ahead and change the look. So what we're going to need to do is close this. I'll go down to our dynamic selection wheel. Let's go into our widget, and we want our selection wheel. So now, like I said, what we're going to want to do is we're going to make it look like this wheel right here. So we're going to need to change the colors of everything. So we want to change the wheel background, and we'll want to change the tint all the way up to white, because that's what the background looks like. And now our selection is the one that moves with the wheel, or moves with your mouse around the wheel. We'll want that to be a darker orange. So we'll change the tint. Where's a nice orange? That's a nice dark orange. Okay. And then let's hide this for a second so we can get onto the selected. We'll change this color to a lighter orange. That seems right. Yeah, those look about right. So now, if we save, compile, play, don't crash on me. Please don't crash. Why would you crash on me? No. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, let's go ahead and play. And it looks like it did save our colors and everything that we did just do. So, now we have these orange selections. And if you open and close the wheel, the selected goes to where you just had it. So next we need to go ahead and let's look at the wheel again. And it looks like the dividers are gray, so let's go ahead and we'll change the divider over to a gray color. So dividers, and all you need to do is same thing with the other one, just tint it so it needs to be let's do that, see how that looks. Let's save, compile, play. That looks about right. Dividers are a gray color. Next we need to let's go ahead and let's set this up so we have items to see what it looks like right now. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and we are going to want to open up our first person character, and let's go up here to this interact code up here. So it's just a really simple code. It's a line trace that I do. I'll let you see it so you can copy it if you want to, but all it does is it traces. If the trace hits something, then it checks to see if what it hit is a gun actor, and if it is, then it does this. So like I said earlier, all I have it set up to do right now is print out the name, but we have the ammo, the reserve ammo, the level, the XP, and the image. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to set it up so that it adds the gun to our selection wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this. We're going to keep the destroy actor because it still needs to do that. And I'm going to grab our selection wheel, and then let's do a add selection to wheel, or selection on wheel. It's a user function. Let's plug this in. Oop. Did not want to press that. Let's go back to our first person character and add selection wheel. Let's hook it up, and we're going to need to break. Oop, no, make. It'll be a reverse break. And now we have the selection wheel slot structure. So what is in that? So just for ease of use, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have the gun stat structure here, and I'm going to because this image is basically the same thing. And what is this? Texture 2D reference. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back into my gun stat structure and change that really quick just so they're compatible. Texture 2D. Save. Let's go back into here, and now they're compatible. I'm going to do the same thing with the name. Go ahead and plug that in because those are already there. Move this over a little bit, and then after that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into my slot structure, and I'm going to add the gun stat structure to my selection wheel slot structure. So that way I can access the rest of them from the gun stat structure inside the slot structure. So we need to go to the dynamic selection wheel, we need to go to blueprints, and here's the selection. And I'm going to go ahead and name this just gun stats. Gun stat strict. I'm going to save this. I'm going to go back to my first person character, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab from my gun stats. Plug that right in there. And then I'm going to destroy the actor. I'm going to save, compile, and now this should take whatever I pick up and put it into my selection wheel. So I'm going to go ahead, and because I know that I forgot to put an image onto this, I'm going to go ahead and take this and find this image, which should be there. Oh, I probably need to update the thing. Open in Blueprint Editor. Compile. This should do it now. There we go. Now I need, I'll use the generic gun texture. I'll go ahead and I'll name it rifle. And I'll just put random values into these. And 432, make it level 2, give it 25 XP. And now, I'll go ahead and save that. And now when we go into game, play, we run over and we pick it up, it adds our gun to our wheel. And as you can see right now, it doesn't look exactly like we want it to. It doesn't display our ammo, our reserve ammo, our level progression, and our name isn't in the right spot, and neither is the image. So we're going to have to change all that stuff around to make it look like we want it to. So we're going to go ahead and go over to... Oop, wrong thing. We want to go into our widgets, selection wheel, go back to the designer. So we do not want our hover info, so the information that it displays that while we're hovering over a selection, we do not want that to display the image. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close that so we don't see it here, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to set it to collapsed, so now it won't show up. Our image name, or our, the name of the item, that's in the right spot. And now we'll want to add a progression bar to the vertical box. So now that's there. And now we want it to display the level, which is just a text. So I'll add that to the vertical box too. I'll go ahead and put text block level. Save, compile. Now I need to that doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to change some of these. Let's see here. We want it to fill from left to right. Yeah. I'll go ahead and change the percentage right now. So we want to change the color to that orange. That's fine. It's an okay orange. Okay, now we're going to... I'll change this so it fills. We do not want it to look like that. I'll change this so it fills too. And I'll change the name so it fills it too. And now we want to... do this. We'll change this so it's in the center. And it's at the top. And the progress bar needs to center. Oh, that doesn't feel right. 0.5. 0.3. 0.2. That looks fine. So I'll go ahead and save, compile. Okay, so now it displays, or it has our level and our name and our level percentage. Now we need to actually make it display that information correctly. So right now we already have the name display correctly. Now we need to do these two, the progress bar and the level. So we'll go ahead and go into the graph, and now we need to where is it? User functions? Helper functions. I can never find these. Update selected info. So in the builder functions you'll find a function called update selected info. In this is where you find all the information that you need to change, or where you set all the selected info. So now that we have two new things with our selected info, we need to change those. So I'm gonna make two new variables. One of them is a text bar and one of them is a percentage, and I'll go ahead and do level, and that will be a text. I'll go ahead and set level, and then the next one is a percentage, so variable level percent, and that needs to be, let's do a float. Can never go wrong with a float in this instance. Set. Okay, now we need to go back and we need to bind these variables to our stuff. So this needs, I forgot, I need to go back and I need to save and compile the variables so that we can see them inside this. And level percent. And then level needs to be binded to level. So we go back to our graph, and now we need to set the values. So I'll go ahead and I'll get our gun stats and I'll break them. And now we see we have our level, which will do a to string, and then we'll do an append. I'll go ahead and put this down here on this one. And we're going to do level space, and we'll plug this return value into our level. So now it'll display level space and then our actual level 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. Now our percentage should go into, should go over here. And I'll save and compile. Now, for some reason, I do not remember how progress bars work exactly, so 0.3%. So if we have 25 XP, we want it to be a fourth of the bar, so we need to divide this divide by 100 to get the percentage that we want. Save, compile. And now we should have all the information that we need there. It's not showing. Why is it not showing? I changed the hover info to collapsed instead of the image. So this needs to be visible. No. Self hit test invisible. And then this image is what needs to be collapsed. Save, compile. Let's go ahead and play. I have nothing yet. Okay. So for some reason it looks like our level is not being displayed correctly, so let's find out what is wrong there. First off, I'm going to check and make sure our XP, we have 25 XP, so that should be fine. We need to figure out what's going wrong over here. So 25 divided by 100 should be 0.25. Level percent should make that clear. And then let's make sure that our progress bar is binded to level percent. So why is it not changing? Let's see if I did something wrong over here. Okay. That was full, so let's do 75. See what that brings up. I believe I did something wrong with the math, but I have no idea. Because right now I'm being stupid. Integer. That's what I'm doing wrong. I need to divide it after, not before. So, I'll do division. There we go. So I believe I have it set to 75 right now, so it should be 3/4 of the way full. So now we have our selected info showing. I'll go ahead and save again. Next up, we need to change the information displayed in the slot itself. So like 36, 4, all those. We need to change those. Those, we go to the wheel slot to change. So right here, this is the image that you see displayed. So we need to change where this image is shown. So we need to move this up. Control Z. We need to size this. Let's do 1200. No. What is it squared? 1024. Not sure why that took me so long. 1024 by 1024. Oop. Okay. Okay. Now, if we save and compile, the image should be not in the same place. Yeah, see, now it's above up there. So we need to move it more. Let's do 0.9. I'm just going to drag it. Doesn't need to be a round value. Okay, now it's way up there, but now it's really small. I believe this has something to do with our selection wheel. Now if we go to thinking wrong. Why am I thinking wrong? For now, we can just size it up. So let's go ahead and do 200 by 200. And now save, compile, image. Just needs to fill. Vertical box, which needs to be changed to 200 by 202. Save, compile, play. Yeah, there we go. So most of this stuff is just a lot of tinkering with trying to get the look that you want. So now we need to add the other information, which is our wrong buttons. ammo and reserve ammo. So I'll go ahead and I will make another canvas panel. And I will anchor this one in the center. Do 0.5, 0.5, 0, 0. And then all I need to do now is size it to the right size. So I'll go ahead and I'll do 100 by 100. And now we need to find the right area for this. So I'm going to save, compile again, and I'm just going to move this right about there looks fine. I'll change the offset. I'll save, compile. And now in this canvas panel I am going to add, just to make it look nice, a vertical box. And I'll do 100 by 100. And I don't need to change the pivot for that. Now inside this vertical box I'm going to put two texts. One text, two text. And I'll go ahead and do fill and center and center. Oh wait, no. I'll do upper justify. And on this one I'll do center and lower justify. I will save, compile. Now I need to bind both of these to a variable. So I'm just gonna, for now I'm gonna put random values in there. So I'll do like 45 and 56, so we can see what they look like. So if I play and I grab this, and we need to move it up a little bit because it looks a little bit off. So we'll move this up, and this will be 0. Now it's too far. Still too far. Right there. Let's see if that works. That looks about right. Yeah. Now I'll go ahead and I'll just change the color to black just so that we can see it. Save, compile really quick. And now you'll notice that all the values are rotated to the center of the wheel. In order to change that, we're going to need to anti-rotate it, is what I call it. So in the graph, you'll see a function called anti-rotate, and what we need to do is we need to grab the canvas panel that our new values right here, or our new displayed information is. I'll go ahead and make this as a variable. So canvas panel 146. We need to grab canvas panel 146. And now we need to set the render angle. Set render angle. And we need to just grab the same thing as this one. And now if we play, I believe that should make everything face the bottom of the screen. So now if I go back into update graphic, I'll go back into the designer really quick. we need to set the values to whatever the gun is. So back in our graph, in our update graphic area, we will now see that there is gun stats in our slot structure. So we need to break that, and we need to get our stats. So we need our ammo and our reserve ammo. So we're going to need to create two variables for that. 1, 2, and I'll name one reserve. That's too many A's. Ammo, and this needs to be text, and then this one is ammo, and it needs to be text too. Okay, now we need to set both of these variables. Set and set. And we need to grab them. And we need to put them before this branch here. And now we just plug our ammo and our reserve ammo into these. Save, compile. And now when we play, you pick this up, it's not showing it because we forgot to bind the variable. So this is ammo, and this is reserve ammo. Okay, so now it is whatever the weapon is. So that looks like it's most of everything. I'm trying to think. Show slot, visible, nope. Okay. I think that's everything for it. All we need to do now is I'm being really slow with my clicks. Make a bunch of guns. So let's do a shotgun, and we'll give it 5 ammo, and it has 34 reserve ammo, and we've never used this gun before, so it'll have 0 everything for the level. And now let's make another gun, and we'll give it the same texture, and we'll name this one Sniper. And let's give it 4 ammo and 50 reserve ammo. And we love the sniper, so we're level 6 with it. And we're halfway through. Let's save. And then gun texture, name, SMG, and we have 35 ammo for this one, and 120 reserve ammo. And we love this SMG even more, so it's level 9, and we're 60% of the way through. Okay. And then I'm just being really tedious right now. What's another type? LMG. And this one has 150 ammo and 400 reserve. And we hate it, so it's level 2. we're 45% of the way through. Okay, so now when we go ahead and we pick all these up, now we have a bunch of different guns. We have an SMG, a shotgun, a sniper, a rifle, and an LMG. Now nothing happens when we when we select them, because we haven't put anything in the selection code, which is down here off the selection wheel macro. So this would pass through our gun stats, and if it were just an item, then we would well, this is where you would put your equip code. So anything that happens after it's selected, like equip, you would put it here. And because this passes information through, if we wanted to equip a gun, we would spawn the actor, attach it to a socket, initialize the variables inside the weapon, and then you're set to go. And anything like that you would put here. And because nothing happens here, I'm just gonna print string. And I'm gonna say, let's do an append. Let's do it after. Let's do you equipped this gun. And we need to plug this in. Oop. And now you equip the sniper, the shotgun, sniper again, LMG, SMG, all the guns. And now you can see when you're playing that you have extra slots that do nothing over here. If you do not want those slots, if you do not want the selection wheel to have a set number of slots, and you want it to size depending on the amount of guns that you have in your inventory or on your selection wheel, then what you need to do is you need to go to your selection wheel, and you need to go to the graph, and the variables over here, you need to change user variables, the number of segments, down to 0. I'll go ahead and save and compile that. And now in your first person character, anytime you equip something or add a selection, first you need to add slot or segment. You need to add a segment, and you just need to add, double clicked it, back to our first person character. You need to just do this, and then we only want to add one segment, so we'll add it. We'll save, compile, and play. And now you have absolutely no slots in there, and whenever you pick a gun up, it should add one slot. And now you never have an empty slot. So I believe I covered everything that I needed to in this tutorial on how to add stuff to your selection wheel using the add selection on wheel. That's a fully integrated selection wheel, I believe. Just in general, without any of the little tidbits like the blurry background and stuff like that. And as you could probably see this, and we're wondering about this, but you're still able to look around while you're in the wheel unless you click, and then you'll no longer be able to move around in the wheel. That's just because inside our macro, which is not open right now, so I'll have to go and open it. show mouse cursor is set, so it'll show the mouse cursor, but there's nothing else stopping the stopping you from looking around. So you need to add some code into your character to disable input or change it to game mode input UI only. And if you don't want the like this comment says, if you don't want the mouse to show, say we were using a strictly console or gamepad version. Like right now, I'm gonna use the gamepad right now. I'm looking around X because I have that working with it. Oop. And now we have our wheel open by holding Y, and I'm still moving around because nothing is keeping the information from going to the game as well as our UI. So this is me using the gamepad, by the way, if you didn't pick up on that, and it has full gamepad integration still. I feel like I've been trying to end this for a while, even though I keep coming up with new stuff that I need to show or explain. I'm going to go over this one more time, make sure I didn't miss anything that you may want me to show you, considering. I'm going to go ahead and jump over here. Anything that you want to change the style of the wheel in a different way, like have dividers, you can uncheck that so that you don't have the dividers. I showed this in the overview, I believe, but now you don't have the dividers between each of the sections. So there's that. And here's the rotate slots upright. Remember when I had you in the wheel slot, I had you hook the set render angle of the canvas panel with the ammo and the reserve ammo. When I had you anti-rotate that, that was what the rotate selected info, or not selected info, sorry, not selected info, slots, rotate slots upright does. So if you uncheck this, then it will no longer rotate any of the slots to face the bottom of the screen. And now they're all around the edge of the screen. So, I believe that is all you need to know to integrate this into an already existing project, because I basically did that already with this. If you have any questions, hit me up on the forum or my support email. You can find that on the Unreal Marketplace page. And thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this helped you with any endeavors that you may have with the dynamic selection wheel. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what some people do with it, and when you guys are done with whatever your projects are, or whatever you need this for, I'd like to see what you can do with it. So anyway, thank you and goodbye.